This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
The lost art of following directions. This is Wretched Radio. Posted a video at Facebook. The National Enquirer. No, Inside Edition. I get them confused all the time. We posted a video of a Sabatucci, an interviewer. I guess you'd call her a journalist. She approached Ken Copeland. Looked like he was in one of his carports, airplane hangars. He owns a private airfield on his property. And he was jumping into his limousine, and she came running up and engaged him for 11 minutes. Absolutely fascinating. I encourage you to go to our Facebook page and watch it because, wow, you're just going to see a very bad man. A very bad man. He tried to justify his flying of a private jet because Tyler Perry gave me such a great deal. I had to buy it. And then the biggie to me, the self-deception of the false teacher. If I didn't fly private, I'd have to stop doing 65% of what I do. Okay, stop. Nobody's going to verify that statistic. But you're not that important, sir. None of us are. You go away. Don't worry. God's kingdom, it marches on. We don't need you flying. And I traveled over there, and I was able to preach to 120,000 people. And then he said some bonkers number like, what's the number? We just did some research on this. Because of our ministry, 150 million people got saved. Yeah, sure. How's about 150 million people got bilked so you could fly a private jet? His eyes, woo, you've got to go watch it. And then one of the things that I'm surprised Inside Edition didn't get on about was the way that he was talking to her, darling. Sweetheart, I love your eyes. Wow. So you're being a creeper.
Hitting on a reporter. That's interesting.
Well, you're being a creeper, frankly.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. So I posted it. Okay, I didn't do it because, frankly, I hardly know how to turn on a telephone. It got posted, and I said, just pick one word to describe what you see. One word! There are about 650 posts. I don't think anybody did one word. What happened to following instructions?
You got to make the instructions realistic, though.
You know, I'd have just one word for this whole conversation.
All right, shall we go?
It's really just a mess. I mean, if you watch the whole thing, it was just really shameful. And
maybe everybody who posted was from the South. We are a chatty group of people. I'm telling you, we do. You ask what time it is, somebody's going to tell you where they're from, what their mama's favorite recipe was, what the weather's like right now in South Carolina, the storm that was brewing. I just wanted to know what time it was, not everything about your heritage and your ancestry. We do love to chat. If you'd like to chat with us, here are the rules. Send an email to idea@wretched.org, idea@wretched.org. Please. Well, there are no rules beyond that. That's just pretty much it. But the pithier, the better. I won't mind telling you that. This was sent in from Rob. I live in College Station and work at Texas A&M. That's an amazing university. I'm sure it has its issues, but I'm telling you, that is an amazing place to go. And to watch the influence of the military and how it makes the boys and girls there men and women. They aren't these silly, juvenile, tantrum-throwing. They are. Mrs. Friel and I were talking about the age of adulthood. When does somebody become an adult? I've got a slightly different question. When can somebody become an adult? When can it happen? It seems, and I think that I've got two reasons, two proofs to support this. I think 12, 13, 14, you can be acting like an adult. And here's why. First of all, in the Bible, most likely Mary, Joseph perhaps older, but Mary was probably about that age. And that wasn't weird back then. Because in that agrarian culture, that hard culture that Jesus was born into, there was not a prolonged childhood. The adolescent, 35 before you become an adult, like some people are saying here. 35? You can grow up fast. It was just a playtime, get to work. Our family needs to live. And if you don't contribute to that, we could all die. That'll grow you up pretty fast. Second, I would suggest puberty. God designed that program. The ability to procreate, which should be done, of course, he set this rule, done in the context of marriage. So, if I can put two and two together, God made puberty for the act to be done in marriage, and it hits around 12, 13, maybe 14. Seems to me that you can get married, which is an adult activity, because God has equipped you to do one of the acts that should be done inside of marriage, and that is to make babies. So it seems to me 18 is an adult. Well, that's rather arbitrary. That's a social construct. And I don't think that there should be a construct that we create inside of the church, but I would say children do not need to act like children when they're 17, 18, 19, 25, 30, 35 years old. I don't think that's the way that God built it. Then again, you died a lot younger then, too, so that could have played a role in it. idea@wretched.org. There are no rules beyond that, unless, of course, you can keep it pithy. This is from Rob. I live in College Station, and work at Texas A&M. I heard your piece on the World Mission Society Church of God. These are the people who are wandering the malls, approaching women mostly to ask them if they knew that God was a girl. Apparently, it is growing. Rob writes, interestingly, there's a home church for this cult in the apartment next to ours. They are the World Mission Society Church of God location in the Bryan Collegetown Station area. The God the Mother stuff is one of the strangest aspects. They also think Jesus came back in the person of a South Korean in the 60s. Huh.
Oh?
Reminds me of the guy who started up Hare Krishna, Swami Parabababubabu. He basically started Hare Krishna as a cult or a sect of Hinduism. The mystical element of Hinduism really went back 500 years, but he started that brand known as the Hare Krishna in the 60s. He's dead. Our founder, he's alive. Nevertheless, apparently this cult, which is growing, the World Mission Society Church of God, believe that Jesus came back in the 60s but died again too. They're also very legalistic, insisting that you have to keep the OT laws to obtain salvation. You know what? Oh, well, if we had time and I knew where it was located, I'd share with you a wonderful article that Answers in Genesis put together. It was not all it was only like 5-7 pages long, so it couldn't possibly cover every aspect of this very odd movement called the Hebrew Roots Movement. And they are Old Testament law keepers. Now, they don't keep all of them. It's rather selective, but they keep them. They're the ones who write to you G-D because they don't want to misspell God's name and blaspheme his name. They don't call Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, as if it's you've got to say his name in Hebrew, HaMashiach. Otherwise, I don't know what. But apparently, the World Mission Society Church of God, they're Old Testament law keepers too. Sadly, this group started very small. This is now Texas A&M land. Is now gaining traction, and there always seems to be new people there. They invited us to, quote, Bible study, which was basically a sales pitch, centered on the idea that Constantine was bad and the true Sabbath is on Saturday. There's another Hebrew roots identity or another mark, and apparently the same thing is true with the World Mission Society Church of God. If your kids bump into them at the mall, do kids go to the malls anymore? We went to the mall about a week ago. It was a store we had to go to. Okay, we didn't had to, but we wanted sharp knives. And so we went to the store to get our knives sharp. We tried the rock thing with the and then the
whetstone.
That thing right there. Joey, I didn't want to sound like I know everything.
I do.
You're safe.
And the thing, those don't work. So we
Grinding
brought it
wheel?
to the mall.
I had read that, millennials have generally eschewed them all, that Gen Z is actually, helping to bring them back.
Well, maybe they like Cinnabons more than the millennials, because that's about the only thing. Wow, it smells up the whole place.
Some of those malls are...
Or they walk around.
wastelands.
There's some manufacturer that makes mall smell, and somebody's walking, or they put it in the ventilation system and just because it had that smell. Nobody was there. What a reminder! Vanity, vanity. Everything is so fleeting, isn't it? It was the outdoor mall, then it was the connected mall, standalone, the shopping mall, and then it just keeps changing and changing and changing. If you should happen to go to the mall and somebody approaches you and says, "Hey, want to learn about God the girl?" Ask them if they'd consider themselves to be a good person. This is Wretched Radio.
If you'd like more Wretched content, and who wouldn't, visit wretched.org and you will have Wretched coming out of your nose. And that's biblical.